Today, we are just having a real talk. And I say that to say, if you've ever tried to do anything that you've never done before, it can be difficult, like pushing yourself. And even when you are someone who has done things that seems like, hey, this is something big, it still can be very difficult to accomplish goals and things that you want to see to come into your own reality. And I think it's not talked about enough, and that how there can be a lot of chatter around what you should and shouldn't do and who you are and who you're not and where you're from and what you have and all of these things. And I think a lot of times when we take away all the chatter in your head from all of those people that don't really matter, to what you think your family might say, to what you think anyone else might say, because the reality is you have your own life, your own journey, own everything that I truly believe, everything that is given to you is for you. And I actually wanted to create this video because me, myself, have been really wanting to do content creation for a while. And it's so funny because I think back to some of the people that I watched when they were first starting, probably 10 years ago. I honestly created my YouTube channel and I never did anything with it. But I believe anything that you really want to do, it's for a reason. It's probably for you, for your own self-growth or whatever. And I think I had all of these barriers, whether it was someone that I knew, how they would feel about it, or my own insecurities about being on camera and being seen and all of these things. But once I really decided to say who cares and to say that I have to live my life for me, then I started to do things little by little. I started to record myself. I started to just record things of me, like videos of me in the car and talking and just getting more comfortable with seeing myself in a different light. If there's something that you want to do and there's a lot of resistance, and when I mean resistance, not actual resistance, but your own mental chatter of resistance, even if you don't look good doing it, even if you look crazy doing it, even if it doesn't make sense, do it. So, for those of you who are working on your confidence, working on changing your life, working on tapping into that new reality, like Frederick Dodson refers to, all of the things that you think about, it's possible. And he says that because if it was not possible, or in all honesty, if you are super metaphysical, even if you think that is impossible, that is incorrect. I started this video because I want to go over this process that Frederick E. Dodson talks about in Parallel Universes of Yourself. I wanted to really do this little short video just to break down one of the processes because he gives so many different processes in the book for you to change what your reality looks like. Okay, so we're gonna start with a thing he calls the pure method. Okay, so let's get into this pure method, which stands for a parallel universe reality emulation. And it really is just the tool he breaks down and the steps he recommends you to take to change your reality. But it starts with changing your identity. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard Neville Goddard talk about going to the end of the whatever desire that you want. So you want to become a wife, you go and you take on the feeling of being a wife. The feeling is the secret. That's one of the big things that he talks about. It is becoming who you want to be in order to bring in the things that you want. That goes for whether you want to own your own business, you want to be a successful content creator, you want to be married to in a healthy relationship, you want to be the CEO of your company that you work for, whatever it is, allow yourself to become these things, and then everything else will come to you. Which it makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's like we're all playing roles in our life. We're all actors. And whatever role that you're playing, you become that actor. So whether that's a student or you decide to go to school to be a lawyer or a teacher, you become, and like even if you think about the influencers, they tend to do a lot of the same things. They tend to dress alike. They tend to, body like all of these things because quite naturally there is this framework of typically what this particular group of people look like and act like and what they do and who they have to be to take on this role of becoming XYZ. Whatever you desire in your life, you become it first. So he gives us a few steps that are not that difficult. It's pretty much what they tell you to do, just in 4 easy steps. So the first steps it tells you to do is to define the reality you would like to experience. So of course, get clear on it, write it down, make it a clear, detailed picture. Because our mind will automatically start to create things for us for these things to happen. But if you're not clear and it's like you want to be a professional athlete, but at the same time, you don't want to work out well, they don't really go together. Make a clear vision of what you really want and not something that someone has imposed on you, not something that you feel like your parents think you should do. Like, really sit down and focus on yourself and figure out what you really, really want. I think that's why it's so important to have alone time. And it's so important to have times when you're not with friends, you're not with family, and you're not on social media or you're not being influenced. In all honesty, it's not a lot of places you can be nowadays and not be influenced by the media or family or friends or whatever. But start there. You have to start with what you really want and be clear on it. The second thing he tells you to is to relax into a 0 point and be silent. And this is why I do believe people talk about meditation. I think the silent part is really big on just being with self. He talks about don't be resistant to all of the thinking and all of the things that a lot of people say, I can't meditate and I can't be silent. And I think we take those things lightly, but that is something that is honestly very serious that we really have to work on. Like I started doing this a couple years ago that every day before I get up and before I go to bed, I clear my mind. I started with a few minutes and now like it can get up to 30 minutes or so. And when you start to do these things, you realize how connected you are to something that is much bigger than the things that we see in this world. Get clear on what you want and allow yourself to become silent. He calls it a 0 point. And he says he said you do this by observing and noticing, and in noticing is not even something you have to do, keep or hold, because observer is always present anyways. He says behind clouds of the mind lie a clear sky of awareness, ever present, ever silent. And while things may come up in the mind, they are noticed with the same neutral ease you would observe clouds in the sky. Just like when you look up at the stars, it just makes you feel like, okay, this world is so much bigger than me. And at the same time, we're connected, but it seems like we're not connected to everything. But he says this does not have to be created or made. It just happens naturally when you rest into silence and allow yourself to become open, unhurried, and receptive. Once an ocean of silence is experienced, and he says the 0 point means that you are in neutral observation mode, neither desiring or resisting. So nothing can be created, nothing is being decreated. Thoughts come and go, they are irrelevant to this practice. You are not identified with anything in particular. And he says, do not advance to step 2 before you feel completely at ease. Well-being is not the goal of the practice, but it is the prerequisite. And I think he talks about this getting really clear in how important this is because it leads you to the really main step of what this practice is all about, this pure practice. So when you write down what you want and you make it clear, then you go to this moment that you are clearing your mind and allowing yourself to just be. So you're at a zero point. And it's so funny because, well, for me, because I often feel that I'm here a lot. When I'm out in the world, my family and I was brought up about just being me. And I'm not performing. I don't have accolades and my money and all these things on my back that I'm wearing above me or anyone else in the world. Like I am genuinely out experiencing life and people that I come into contact with. And it allows me to just be, I feel like more at ease. And it's so funny because I think people notice that and it makes people want to talk about, like, I get so many people that just start talking to me about their life and they just seem so calm around me and they just, and I honestly think it's attributed to that because I don't have this, mask, or I don't have this facade out in the world. And of course, it's been a lot of practice of me just becoming more calm myself. But I think because I was just raised to have more integrity, and not saying that it's good or bad or anything, it was just my parents never pushed, this, you have to, you know, you doing these things for everyone else. Like it was never that doing what you want in life for anyone else. It was always become successful, become somebody because that's what you want to do. And they allowed us to be free to be whoever we wanted to be because my parents were big on you want to have a good life, you want to have money, go to school and do something and do something with your money or whatever. But besides that, and I realize that because when I'm out, I do experience a lot of people that typically, you meet a lot of people that have their accolades on their back and it's, what do you do? And who are you? And this and that in order for me to be associated with you versus, and I think it takes the humanity out of my life versus I experience whoever, no matter where they are in life or what you've done or who you are, because we can learn from everybody. We can learn from a baby, right? You're the observer. You're not projecting any other identity because now we're going into the engulfing part of this identity that we want to be. He says step 2 is to allow yourself to look at the new version of yourself. So he says, once you're silent, allow an image to appear that represents the version of yourself who is already experiencing the desired reality. And if you don't know what that is, allow yourself to go there, allow yourself to create this person that is experiencing it already. Because 9 times out of 10, if it's something that you want, you already kind of have an idea of who they are, or you've seen this person, you've seen what this person looks like in real life. And he says this is similar to visualization, but without the concentration and effort. It is a more relaxed receiving something already all available or nearby. So in all honesty, just having that in your head, that intention, it's going to be easier for you to access this version of yourself. He said, no willpower is used. You are not imagining something or opening to possibility, but perceiving a version of yourself that's already and that really exists in a parallel reality. You are becoming aware of someone who's already there. And I think that is so important when you're able to literally see yourself be this person that you want to be. I think it does something to you. It does something to your own confidence in your own everyday here and now. And it allows you to feel and really tap into that. And I feel as though this is something that we're not talked to about enough because I think we're pushed to do. You want to be this person, you have to XYZ. Like there's all of these stipulations that, people tell us to do. But have you ever tried seeing yourself as that version already? Okay. Step 3 is to enter a new viewpoint. Okay, so step 2, that's why he tells you to go into this 0 point. because now you're going to allow yourself to look at the new version. And now that you're clear, your mind is clear, there's no chatter, there's no identity that you are projecting out there because you're at 0 point. You are going to allow yourself to see yourself as your ideal version of the reality that you want to experience. So just like if you want to be a successful content creator, you have an idea of who that looks like. You have an idea of what she would do or what he would do every day. Allow yourself to see the version of yourself that it is done already. That is how we step into our new reality. And that goes for anything. Just like if you thinking about if you want to become a lawyer, like what do lawyers do? How do they look? How do they dress? All of these things. You already have an idea of what that is because obviously if it's something that you want, you have had an idea of what it would look like. This is a person you're going to visualize. This is the visualization part. But he mentions that the difference between this and when you're at 0 point, visualization sometimes takes a lot more effort. He says to allow yourself to relax and just see that version of yourself, whatever comes to your mind, because you've already set the intention. Relax and allow yourself to see whatever version of yourself that is. So number 3 is to enter the new viewpoint. So he specifically says, rather than continuing to look at the version of yourself as the observer who is separate, right? So if you're in your visualization, you are in it and you're looking at this complete version of yourself, how they would look, how they would dress, how polished they would look, whatever that may be for you. If it's an athlete, how built they are, how they carry themselves, how they walk. We're going to change the viewpoint. We are going to make ourselves, he says, to enter the viewpoint energy field of this person who's already experiencing the complete fulfillment of reality. So look as the person and immerse yourself into that reality. Enjoy naturally with gratitude and happiness. So now you want to be this athlete. You've looked at yourself on the outside, how you're fit, you're buff, your tone, all of these things. Your confidence is high, right? Because you're a professional athlete. Now you're going to step into the body of your professional athlete. Now, I've heard people talk about this as if like you're putting on a VR. And the funny thing about it is if you can really observe it from your own eyes, how life looks to you, like when you're in your you're in your body, right? So do the same thing. Step into your body as the athlete or step into your body as that professional content creator that has millions of followers and that, you are the gratitude of allowing yourself to shine, allowing people to see you shine because you have these followers, right? And step into that, step into what that really feels like. And then see yourself from that. See your toned arms and your legs, whatever that may be with the person. See, look down and see what you're wearing. That's how you really can see yourself from this viewpoint. Make sure you have that viewpoint. And you're going to experience the image. He says to experience the image not as a mental event, but along with a complete body sense, touch, taste, like what expensive cologne would you wear? Even if you're in an experience and, for instance, you want to become a mom, picture yourself touching and smelling your newborn baby. Allow yourself to be in the sensory and in the actual moment of it, because believe it or not, our minds are mega computers. In all honesty, we experience these things every day. But when you allow yourself to step in and become a true observer of a new reality, all these things come up. Like one of the things I pictured was allowing myself to receive roses and to smell the smell of roses. That was one of the things that Neville Goddard talked about in one of his books. Picture yourself smelling a rose, like allow yourself to smell a rose right now. You, believe it or not, your mind can really retrieve the smell of roses or to smell the smell of someone that you love. He says, do not do this in order to experience. Specifically, he says, do not do this in order to experience the reality later. or in order to experience a reality in the outside world for real. He says, but in order to experience the joy here and now, right now. And I never got what people talked about only thing that matters is the here and now. If you think about the most important things are the here and now, what are you doing here now, whether that's being productive or whether that is enjoying or experiencing moments with friends and family, watching a sunset, like those are the things that are important when you are doing them at the moment. So when we take on the moment and maximize it, and not even just maximizing it, in all honesty, just experiencing it, it's so important, even to the point of this exercise. Like, in all honesty, if you are in a reality that you don't like, or the life that you have, you're experiencing that you're not necessarily happy with, this is the most important thing to do to experience a new reality right now. And then the last thing he says to do is rest in the fulfillment of it already being done. He says, in hours, days, and weeks, after simply resting in the new viewpoint, rest in the fulfilled reality. If you want to be an athlete, rest in, I just signed my deal. I just really signed $1 billion deal, whatever that may be. It might be crazy, but whatever that may be, I just signed with the team of my dreams, or I just signed my first 10 contracts with brands that I am super excited to work with. And I really don't like the word influence because I feel like it's just negative, but the people that you are curating a life and help curating a life for, that you are genuinely proud to work with these brands. Rest in that. Rest in fulfillment of whatever you want, whether that is, being married and having, your babies. Like, rest in how that feels to wake up every day and have the life that you want. It says you don't try to make it happen. You don't push and do things. You don't, forcefully go out and date because it's like, hey, I'm supposed, I'm going to have my baby and be married. I have to meet someone. Like, just rest in it. This is really interesting because this is the faith part the Bible talks about. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and wished for, but the evidence of the unseen. So when you can't see the things that you want, but you still know that they're going to happen, that's faith. And this is part of that. He's telling you to go ahead and just know it's done. Don't affirm it anymore. Don't visualize it. Don't repeat or wait for it. Just live in it and let it go. So if you purchase the bag that you've been wanting, you don't hope that you get it. It's done. You got the bag. It's in your closet. You can wear it anytime you want to. This is the same thing as that. You don't go out and look for or have an intention to, I'm going to meet someone today, because why would you do that if you've already met the person? He also talks about when you do those things, it also pushes these things farther away because it's almost like it's watering down what you've completed. Because why are you wishing for something that you already have? He says, once in a while, you may want to refill the body in your sense of the chosen reality, enjoyed as if, like, accepted as the true, as if so you want to become an athlete. There are going to be times that you're going to be in the media or whatever. You're just like, man, this is beautiful. Like, this really happened. That's what he's talking about, to tap into and re-experience and refill it in your body, but not in a way of a lack that you're waiting for it to come. He says simply cease to behave in a way that presupposes that it is not already so. So for instance, like you're working on your abundance, right? And you realize that you don't feel lack anymore. Every once in a while, something will creep in and, you've had everything situated and then something comes up and you have less money than you thought you would have, or you have less resources that you thought you would have. Step out of that moment and don't react to it. And whatever you have to do, pray for yourself, take a step back, whatever you have to do, step out of it. Pray for yourself. I always have everything I need. I always have more than enough. I always have excess. I always have an overflow. I have enough to help others. Then you tap back into your abundance. Okay, so he also says the corresponding physical manifestation will appear when you stop needing it, chasing after it, looking for it, but are instead willingly and lovingly identified with it, part of the being. And not for the sake of making it manifest, but for the sake of experiencing its joy in the here, now, and today. So, all in all, the pure procedure is simply described as be still, receive and identify with the desired reality, and rest in the fulfillment. Let it go. Okay, so lastly, he talks about how this pure technique, it can be referred to as shape shifting, he says, in some cultures. And this involves giving up your armor and resistance towards something and merging or melting in with it so that you totally become it. Not only on a mental level, but on a whole body cellular level. He says, so the secret to this lies not in becoming something, but realizing that you are already everything and merely have to be one aspect of that. He says some shamans were known to practice shape shifting to an extent that they physically became trees or animals. They were willing to give up the armored self and fully unite with something. This also involves giving up the concept of it's only imagination, a concept that actually separates you from the effectiveness of the technique. More of a difficult task, especially the shape shifting part, but the pure method does actually allow you to work toward something. But your beliefs about it has so much to do with, how it's experienced, right? So don't think about it just being in your imagination. If you've ever had detailed dreams, you realize that, you know, the world is not honestly as we are taught that it is. Like it's a lot more complex. And you start to believe things like shape shifting, these things are really real. And the things in my head are not in my imagination. If you ever been where you start to notice your thoughts and you start to realize how much your thoughts relate to your life and how much your thoughts relate to what people feel and think about you, you start to realize that everything in your head is real. So have you ever been where you low self-esteem or low confidence or lack, if you have those thoughts in your head, people see those things. So I truly believe that everything we are, of course, is layered under our thoughts and what we think, whether it's about ourselves, about life. All of that is in that under layer of who we are and how people perceive us. Well, I'm going to say this, people who are perceptive perceive us. And the only reason that I truly believe these things is because I have actually changed the way people see me because of how I changed the way I think and feel about myself. And even to the point that I've gotten so good at it that I can go somewhere and walk into a room and have intentions about how I feel about myself in the room before I get to the room. And people repeat the things that I've said about me when I get there. And me wanting to do videos because I think it's so important for us as humans and the human species to understand our spiritual being that's a part of, or that is honestly bigger than anything. And yeah, like it's so real and it's so interesting and it's so much fun, right? It honestly allows you to tap into the world is so much more fun and more big than we are taught to believe. It's definitely more than 9 to 5. It's definitely more than grinding. Like those things are not, that's not the true magic of the world. The true magic of the world is allowing yourself to really understand who you are, what you want, and allowing yourself to grow and be these things and obtain the things that you really want. 9 times out of 10, they have figured this out, whether it was stumbled upon, whether they had someone tell them, whether they were able to just duplicate or copy someone. Yeah, they figured these things out. And I want everyone to, because what's life without experiencing the beauty of it, knowing more and not just thinking that I'm supposed to just survive. I'm supposed to work to feed me and my family and or as a woman to produce kids and or whatever that may be. Like, yeah. So let's start with the pure method. I cannot wait to hear all the things that you attract and who you become, because that's one of the true magics, I believe. All right, until next time, sunshines, stay mindful and tap into this pure method.